Well, hello and welcome to Tulsa Talks. I'm Mia Fleming. I am really excited about today's show. It has to do with this title right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's Ultimate Productivity. You guys, we're 6 months into the new year, and maybe you made a New Year's resolution to find the perfect job or work on turning your passion into profit, or maybe you just need a little motivation. Well, you are going to love the next two segments. As you see, we have several guests in studio today. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Great to be here.
Hi, we're starting with Mr. Jim Stovall, who is the author of Ultimate Productivity. And then we have Paula Marshall. And Paula, you brought two of your employees with you.
Yes, I'm the CEO at the Bama Companies right here in Tulsa. I brought Willie and I brought Alan. Alan does a lot of our training at Bama, and Willie is one of our team members that's had an interview and a session with the new material we're developing.
I love it. Okay, so before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about each of you. Mr. Stovall, we're going to start with you.
Yes.
Tell us how you got to this point writing a book about ultimate productivity.
Well, it's always good to be back with you. Ultimate Productivity is my 15th book, and my first 6 or 7 books were business books, biographical things, nonfiction books. And then I started writing fiction, and they started making movies out of them, so I kind of got away from that. And 2 years ago, I was in New York, and as I often do when I'm in the city, I stopped by and spend a couple hours with Steve Forbes. He's such an inspiration to me. And he said, if you're ever going to write another business book, you better do it now, because there's this whole generation of people that just knows you as a novelist or a movie guy. And I said, well, if I'm going to do it, you're going to be involved. And then we started talking about who else will be involved, and we got legendary coach John Wooden in his 99th year to give us a lot of the team building, and Steve Forbes wrote the foreword, and out of that came Ultimate Productivity.
Wow. And you have such a backstory. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I had a normal childhood, and then everything got weird after that. But I had a normal childhood.
I just love it. You're amazing. Okay.
I had a normal childhood, and then thought I wanted to be a professional football player. And then in a routine physical to go play a year of football, I was diagnosed with a condition that would cause me to be blind. And I immediately realized there's no professional football players that are blind, so I shifted and became an Olympic weightlifting champion and finished my career there and started narrative television here in Tulsa in 1988, which is how I got associated with Paula, but she didn't even know it. When we first started the national network, I needed a national sponsor to help me do my work for blind people, and the very first sponsor of narrative television was Bama Pie right here in Tulsa.
Wow.
So years later, when we met and she decided she wanted to do more speaking and writing, it was just a natural fit for us to get together.
Wow, I love. Did I tell you were going to be motivated today? Okay. So Paula, tell us a little bit about you and how you have gotten to where you are today.
Well, I'm the third generation of a family enterprise. So I grew up in a family very business-oriented, very entrepreneurial. We talk about business 24/7, and I didn't know there was any such thing as a life, you know, that you had other than working.
Right.
So my work's always been my passion, and we're in the bakery business. We do products for all the major chains in the world, global food companies.
Yummy pecan pies. Sorry,
yes,
I got distracted.
And great biscuits and great desserts, and I'm proud to work with folks like Alan and Willie here every day that help us make these things even greater. But I got involved with Jim because in this, you go through a transition in your work life, and I've been working, for a long time, and I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so I called Jim and asked him for a meeting, not even knowing that I had been helpful to him in funding his network, which he shared with me the very first time we met, and I was just overwhelmed with happiness.
Right.
And he's helped me write my books. I've written 4 books now, and he's also helped me with speaking coaching and how do you write a book and then sell it. And there's something that Jim is fabulous about. It's writing books and selling them. Because he sells a lot of books, I'll tell you.
So this is one of my favorite books. It was life-changing for me, you guys. Ultimate Productivity, seriously life-changing. There's little notes in here all throughout the book. He even gives you actual sections where you can take notes after each chapter. So Ultimate Productivity then led into training sessions?
Yeah,
Ultimate Productivity?
we started doing Ultimate Productivity training sessions, and we've done them across the country for corporations, and I wanted to go more in depth and really work out what does it really look like. So I talked to Paula, and we're taking 1,000 of her employees here in Tulsa through the Ultimate Productivity Training. It starts with me doing my motivational training, and then my colleague Rebecca Graham comes in and does the productivity workshop. And then out of those, we're gathering some results and takeaways, and that will become the basis for a book Paula and I are doing together called Real Productivity, and it'll be out sometime next year.
I love it. Okay, so Alan, tell us how those training sessions have been going.
Well, the training sessions have been going really well. Jim comes in, he starts off with giving his story, and then we follow it up with some additional training of the facility. And it really is giving our folks just that basis of choice. And you have a choice in life, and everything is a choice, and you get those results from those choices. And so Willie was one of the attendants of one of the sessions that we had a couple months ago, and I just was kind of wanting to have him talk a little bit about some of the things that he learned.
Yeah. Well, share with us, Willie.
Initially, as the book states, there's the motivation, there's the communication, and the implementation. And as a person on the production floor, the tools that Jim them use, it motivates you. That's number one. We go through a series of training, drills, and questionnaires. They ask questions, and it learns you how to communicate. Then you see what the issues are, and then you learn how to implement those things. And it's been really, and I enjoyed the sessions that we had. Yeah.
I may be putting you on the spot a little bit, but was there one thing in particular that maybe it motivated you to do as soon as, you left that training session?
I couldn't really narrow one thing down. It's the whole session itself is, just one thing after the other. We went through a series of things, had different occupations, and we learned more about why people react and do the things they do. Wow. And as a result of that, it just makes you a little bit, it's more introspective, though.
Right.
Make you look at yourself, and then you try to, make things work from there.
Wow. And taking that time to, like he said, look at yourself and look at some of the things that you do would actually make you more productive in life and while you're at work. And I guess that's good for employers like yourself.
Yeah, because we were talking about this in your green room. Most of us go through life just getting, whipsawed by things that happen, and we don't plan our time. We don't plan relationship building. We don't plan spending time. But if we don't, we're forced through something that will happen that will take you into more of an urgent, important day. So all of a sudden you realize your day is just adrenaline rushing from one thing to another. Right. So for us, it's about grounding all of our team members in the core concepts that Jim has, which, as he said, was developed with Lou Holtz and other people, and then taking some time and studying the results. I can tell you already our absentee is down, our turnover, the amount of people leaving our company is down. Wow. So we're seeing some, real positive, metric shifts. Wow. And not that we can tie everything to this, but I believe that as we look at it over a longer span of time, and we continue to develop more and more core pieces of the training, continue to, focus on it and follow up, we'll see more and more even better results.
Right. Okay, so you guys at home, we have just barely scratched the surface. Right now, we want to encourage you to get your pen, your paper, because coming up after this break, we are going to give you the 5 things you need to know to start your path to ultimate productivity. Get the pen and paper. You want to know all of this, right, Mr. Stovall? Yes.
You're watching Fox 23 News, Tulsa Talks.
Well, welcome back. I hope you have your pen and paper ready. In this segment, we are going through the 5 things you need to know to reach ultimate productivity. All right, you guys, we're going to start with number 1. And Jim, you kind of gave me some of these before we started the show, so we're going to pop them up on the screen. They're right there. Number 1, you say define success for you, your definition of success, right?
Too many people are chasing someone else's goal. They're trying to do something because their spouse said, or their mother-in-law said, or their boss said, or somebody at school said, or one of their neighbors said. Really, the only thing that matters and is going to get you to productivity is pursuing that passion, that goal, that thing you have inside of you. Yep. And it's the thing that Paula and I have been working on with her people, because if you don't have that kind of drive and passion, you'll never succeed, because you'll be competing against people that do have that passion.
Wow, and I see you over there shaking your head. Yes, this is true.
Yeah, and what we find is often we chase these things that we think is the dream because someone else has told it to us. And when we get there, we can't enjoy it because we're not happy.
There's no fulfillment.
Because we maybe lost our friends in the process, or we lost our family, or our relationship suffered. So we get there and we go, well, is there anything else? I mean, what's this all about? So if you don't define it for yourself, there's a good chance you end up not in a happy place.
Right. Oh, man, this is good. Okay, number 2, understand what motivates you.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
One of the things that I think is so powerful about what Paula's doing at Bama is exploring with their people what motivates them. Too much in corporate America, when I go across the country and around the world talking to leaders, they sit in a boardroom somewhere and decide what is going to motivate our people on the line or our people in the field. What's going to make a difference for them? And they don't have a clue. So they're trying to give them a plaque, and these people want inclusion, or they're trying to include them, and these people want to go their own way. They want autonomy, or they want to be included. And it's just amazing what happens. The first thing I'm so excited to be able to do with Paula's people at Bama is say, Bama is a unique place. They care about you. They assume you show up here motivated, ready to go to work, and they're trying to get the right person in the right place at the right time for the right reason, doing the right thing.
Right.
And the way you do that is you simply ask.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Willie was saying. He just walked away so motivated, and I wondered if he was going to be able to point out something specific, but he just, you know, was just ready to go.
Right.
You know? Okay, so number 3 is find the best way to communicate your vision.
Well, you know, there are a lot of people, and you have to find out what that is for people, and it's amazing how many people around the world we find that have worked together 10 or 15 years, and they didn't realize that, you know, Mia needs things in writing, or Mia would prefer them verbalized, or Mia would prefer to walk through them live, or whatever the case may be. And everybody's different. There are people that need to see it on paper. There are people that need to repeat it or watch it happen. And it's simply a matter of putting that in a format that works for all different kinds of people.
Such good stuff. Okay, number 4, implement a style that works best for you.
Mia, we live in a world when it's all said and done, there's a lot said and very little done. And the problem is, you know, we always talk about IQ. You got to have a high intelligence quotient. What makes a difference is your implementation quotient. It doesn't matter what you know, it matters what you do. And in reality, you know, there are people that need to be part of a team. There are people that need to work on their own. There are people that multitask. There are people that are linear. They only work one way at a time, and then they go to B, C, D down the line. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just finding that with those people. So through the productivity profile and the assessments we do, people are able to find that.
Wow. And that's in the book as well, where you can
Absolutely.
do your own and kind of take notes. Have you found it pretty helpful? You've done it yourself, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I took the assessment. All my, you know, my president, Mark, took it. Our CFO took it.
Right.
You know, it is. It's all about trying to connect.
Right. For you, were you kind of shocked at what you ended up finding yourself once you really started kind of looking inside and saying, okay, what does motivate me, or how would I carry out what I really want to do in life?
Yeah, I've been shocking myself for about 20 years.
Yeah. I won't even let you see some of the notes I've written in here. Let's just leave it at that, right?
Exactly.
But it's good because it gets you thinking about these things.
Right.
Okay, and then the last thing we say is check up on your progress.
Well, there are 2 things you want to do on that. Number 1, people try to eat the whole elephant at once, and they're surprised when it doesn't disappear as quickly as they would want. You need a short-term goal, and you need to do something today. If you had a goal in January and you're not where you want to be now, that was then, this is now. All that matters is today. But if you have a passion, a drive, something you want to do in your world, there's something you need to be doing today. You may need to meet someone, read a book, find out something, make a call, make a contact. You know, and that's what makes the difference. You got to do something today.
And it may be something as simple as clean your desk out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
straighten up the papers. Get rid of all that stuff that's sitting there that you've just your pile of just I'm going to get to that someday.
Right.
Dig into that pile and start it.
Just
That's
go
what
ahead
Jim's
and do it.
talking about. Quit
I'm motivated.
procrastinating.
Thank you guys so much for
you're
coming
great.
on today. I think we could have just taken the entire hour to talk about this, but I appreciate you being here today and such
Thank
great
you.
information.
Thank you.
Thank you.